I'm Paul Romero, U.S. Navy veteran, husband, father, and Constitution Party candidate for Oregon governor. We never give up, we never surrender. That's the other guy's problem. I see that there are JFK Democrats, conservative Democrats, and I know that once they read my contract with Oregon, they're going to know who they're going to vote for. And I hope you're encouraged with the new direction for Oregon. My contract with Oregon can easily apply to every state, so please check my website, romerofororegon.com.
So this gets back to some news that I've been reading about Oregon, and this was per my talk with one of your volunteers that set this meeting up, and she just spurred me on to think about what are the issues, and this can be the second part of the interview where we can cut this out because
no worries.
This is I think we've covered a lot. I think we're at a good spot to be with everything that you've said. I mean, what you've just laid out could be talked about for another 4 hours. I mean, we could just
well, the best part is I've been able to shoehorn it into a shorter period of time, but it's so important to know the ground you're playing on, right?
Yeah.
And you have to devise strategies, and then you have to stick to them, and that's what we have done. The best part is now I've been able to expose all that we've done to get to this point. And people are just kind of like, how did this guy figure this stuff out?
Yeah. Yeah.
You better have a brain. You got to be able to step back and take that 35,000 foot view and piece it together. And it's not just one thing. It's many moving parts. So I'm fortunate that I have those skills.
Mr. Romero, the Bible verse, it says, to be as gentle as doves, but as wise as serpents. So it takes, when God sends somebody in to a system, they have to be equipped to do the job, and so you present yourself as somebody that is equipped to do that job.
Thank you.
So that's my opinion. That's what I'm sticking to. And I know you're going to do well.
I like to go with kind and fierce.
Hey, there's, you haven't met the ferocity of somebody unless you start messing with their children or their home. A gentle man can be a gentle man his whole life, but then when you start to destroy his home, then you meet a man that you never thought you would meet in your life. So people have to awaken and don't be ashamed of the ferocity and use it with tact and use it in a way that is going to benefit the world. So I just have a couple of things, and I hope you can hear me. I'm gonna turn my mic down because my chickens are all laying eggs right now. But okay. So, all right. So I had a brainstorm, and I'm just going to run this by you as just a whatever,
Fire away.
But the two people that were highlighted to me the most when I started to look into Oregon were somebody named Reed and somebody named Rosenblum. And for some reason, those names were very interesting for me to look into. What are these people up to? What are they doing? What are they doing? And let me just finish.
As far as being Democrat gubernatorial candidates?
Well, more of the let me look at a 35,000 foot view and just see what is my brain finding. And I'm finding deleted tweets. I'm finding advocates for booster shots. And one of my thoughts that I had was vaccine death victims in Multnomah. I hope I'm not
Multnomah
Multnomah County. And so I think it would be really interesting to get a eyewitness view of somebody who has been a victim of the vaccine injury in Multnomah County. That is a kind of like a, a very liberal, but that's what they want us to believe, right?
Right.
So
it's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. So I see, this other lady that graduated from Scripps Liberal Women's College, and Scripps is right now eating the students are eating their own, basically, because their BLM people that have been manufactured out of this school are now demanding that the administration give them more money. So, they're teaching people how to be communist, basically, through these platforms. And so the one thing that really, Gateway Pundit wrote an article, and they were exploiting these lawsuits that people are granting permission to law firms to take and win these cases. So there's this sleight of hand and money changing that's going on in between some of the people that are already in positions of power in Oregon. And like I said, this is the bonus side of the interview that can be,
well,
private only. But the thing of it is what do you think about the leadership that's in position right now? I mean, Mr.
There is
Reed,
no leadership. There's no leadership.
Okay.
Can you flat out? They have failed so miserably. Tobias Reed, for example, treasurer of Oregon, the last treasurer of Oregon was actually Ted Wheeler, the current mayor of Portland. When he was the mayor, when he was the treasurer, before he was mayor, he actually lost over $350 million of PERS money through bad investments. Okay. And PERS continues to bleed money. And we even found out why one of the Republican candidates, Stan Pulliam, has been pushing for tripling the size of the Oregon State Police, which, by the way, is not constitutional. State police are not constitutional. And
wow.
My first question was, well, do you plan on being 3 times worse than Kate Brown? That was my first question, because that's who protects the governor. But the real answer is that the companies he's connected to and the people that fund his campaign, they would benefit from managing all that money by tripling the size of the state police. You see? So already we have a candidate, a Republican candidate, that's not only beholden to a bunch of big money players, but the information coming out on him is, oh my gosh. If I were him, I would never have run for even dog catcher. Because the truth comes out. People know the truth. And I've put out early on saying, listen, if you have information about a candidate, good, bad, and different, and you can back it up and I can vet it completely, I will make sure it sees the light of day. That's only fair, right? That includes against me. And even my researchers, the first person I had them investigate was me. Exactly. What do you got on me?
Leaders are supposed to be more open and more eligible for scrutiny because they are in that position.
Yes.
So you're saying that the mayor of Portland was the ex-treasurer. Now we've got Tobias Reed, the treasurer.
And PERS has been bleeding money like crazy, and he's responsible for that. So that's why they keep nickel and diming Oregonians all over the place. They claim that we don't have sales tax. That's a lie. I mean, I think our OLCC, they made like $19 billion last year. Since when would the state? That's
off of what?
Alcohol. The state OLCC, Liquor License Control Board, whatever.
It's like a mirror. It's like Oregon's alcohol is just like North Carolina. To where in North Carolina there's these ugly ABC stores. You walk in there, and they're government ran.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way.
What is that? What is that? Why is alcohol, tobacco, and firearms bunched into one bureau? This is the most ridiculous organization. I mean,
it's how they slide sales tax on to all of us. Now, so here's the thing. So they give you property tax, they give you income tax, but they say, oh, but we're not going to have sales tax. But in fact, there's sales tax on your gas and your alcohol and all kinds of things that gets passed on to you, the consumer, but you don't get to see it as a sales tax. Okay. So for me here in Oregon, part of the contract with Oregon is that we're going to, right off the bat, day one, if you're 65 or older, your property tax and state income tax is zero, period.
I mean, if you could just put that on and get a number of like $4,500 immediately saved voting for me or something, like just a visual of like.
Here's the good news. When I tell people this, what we're going to do, and it's on the contract, they're like, oh my gosh, that you got my vote. I'm like, well, listen, there's way more. That's not just the only thing, because see, with the property tax, as we do the full audit on the state and all the different departments and get them trimmed down and tightened up and turn off all the spigots out of the general fund, which is by the way, we have a balanced budget. Yes. And the legislature will claim that, but the truth is the general fund is not balanced at all. It is just a pool of money they disperse money out of without any real budget.
Wait a minute. So yeah. They've got millions and millions of dollars, but still the roadways are terrible.
Yeah.
And everything else in between is falling apart.
Until they get so bad and so many complaints, finally then they do it. Yeah. And with all the additional taxes we pay through DMV, it's supposed to be covering these road repairs. And yet then they keep asking us for more money for road repairs. It never ends. It's just this repeating cycle. And for all of us, we trust people, right? We trust our elected officials. We're supposed to be able to trust them, right? The fact is, we've not been able to. We are too far asleep. But you know what? The people of Oregon and the United States have really woken up. And I thank God for this, because we need to pay attention. We've been too complacent with the schools and the education process. So many things that need to be fixed.
So that brings me to another word that I've realized: energy wasters. So, obviously your campaign, you're very on point. A lot of the patriotism and the energy that can come up, that is pure energy that can be motivated and move people to do things for free, to give money. Yeah. It's important that we act now instead of letting it slide back and letting us get back into a lulled state and then our energy levels are not as passionate as we were. And it takes a lot to get that steam going again. So it's important now to use the momentum and the steam that we have now to retake these positions of power that need to be held for another 100 years. We need to grasp these positions, and we need to hold them indefinitely. And we need to have some kind of memorial put up for the war that's been waged against the Communist Party, so we can look and remember.
Right. We have to keep this fire burning. This fire needs to keep burning. And I think for the average American, they're starting to realize that they can't be complacent anymore. They can't just coast. It doesn't work. Yeah. And unfortunately, communism is patient beyond belief. They set up 50, 100-year plans where the people making the plans are going to be dead by the time this stuff happens. But it's slow, it's incremental, it's slow and steady. And that's why we don't generally see it so much. And when it all of a sudden happens and it's thrust upon us as it is now, let me tell you something. Never underestimate this country. Americans, when things are at their worst, we are truly at our best. And by the way, our most dangerous. And right now, that's what the opposition is experiencing. They have thought that they're going to be the bully on the playground and just lay waste to us. Oh, no. That's not going to happen.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head with that analogy, is that they thought they were going to get the best of us, but then
their arrogance. Wow. See, they've been in control for so long. It's kind of like overplaying their hand. They were getting so close to the end, they decided to rush it. And when they did, they went all in and they are losing. They've lost. And well, we already know they've lost, but we still have to go through the process. And the thing, I talked to so many Christians and they're like, well, I'm praying for this. Listen, prayer is great. But the fact is this: God gave you 2 feet, 2 hands, a brain, and a heart. It's time to exercise those. Okay. There comes a point in time when you got to build your section of the wall. You got to defend your section of the wall, and you do that arm in arm with your neighbor. And really, that's what I'm calling for.
I'm praying for my neighbor. I know he's hungry this winter, and I'm praying for God to bless him. And I'm gonna pray and pray and pray that God helps him. And no, he's cold and hungry in his house. I mean, God is looking at you like, you hypocrite.
What are you doing?
You get your food that I've given you and trust God for multiplication, and bring your food and give him some of your food. I mean,
it's amazing.
It's action.
Yes, it really is. And I think for me, that's what it's about. Because one of the questions I was asked a long time ago, it's like, well, what have you actually done for the state of Oregon? And the answer was, well, I served my country. That was really about all I had. So this last time, what I basically did is we found projects that we could work on. It's like, you know what, we can do this. I don't have to be a governor to affect getting land back to the county level to get our timber industry back up and running in that county. We have the process. We know what to do. Same thing with exposing the human and child trafficking. We can do that. The election fraud, we can do that. So we've been working on all these things. We've been providing basically legal information, all the laws they're violating with the mandates. We can do this. We can take an active role. And that's what we've done with lawfare ammo, and it's helped a lot of people. I mean, to me, that's what it's about. How can you help as many people as you can? And, I like the idea, the better governor you are means you can travel anywhere in your state, any time of the day or night, and be safe,
Yeah.
And that's my aspiration.
Tell me the status of Oregon's Second Amendment. Is it still intact?
Well, they've pushed all kinds of little red flag type laws, and they're trying to dilute it down. They were trying to get it where you had to keep all your firearms locked up, and it's like they're not even accessible really, and you better not have it loaded, right?
You better.
It's like, okay, this paperweight on my desk is just holding down the paper. Oh, and so is this other little paperweight, right? It's just ridiculous. And the thing is, for me, I'm a constitutional carry candidate, period. We have a constitution. It says what it says. That's it. And so to me, the other thing I've also learned is that the more guns in a given town, the less crime. It's really kind of odd how that works, right? Who'd have thunk? But that's the truth. And the only people that want the guns gone are the criminals.
Exactly. And you got to wonder if they're at the head of the government asking everyone to throw their guns down, they are the criminal.
But we also have this issue with our common Kate Brown, the governor, and her connections with the Chinese Communist Party. She's guilty of treason. The State Department already knew that. Secretary Pompeo and them said as much. Okay. So with her connections with China and the China-Oregon council that they have here in Oregon, anybody involved in that is guilty of treason. And here in Oregon, we have a death penalty, by the way. So and also we have all these executive orders for people that have committed treason, and that they forfeit all their property, all their money, all their everything. Guess what, Oregon? We're going to go collect.
Yes, you are going to collect, because these people will be accountable.
That's right.
And we will get to see them be accountable.
I mean, we're pretty excited. November is not very far away. And with Oregon, like I said, once they get the message, the contract with Oregon alone has just totally brought people over, because like I said, a real politician would never do that. They would never put it on paper what they're going to do. And I always had a problem with the whole hope and change thing. Hope is great. Change? Well, what change are you talking about? Well, don't worry, I'll tell you once I get in. No, that's not going to fly. Yeah. And for most politicians,
that doesn't fly for hardly anything.
No,
Why
it doesn't.
Does it fly with them? No.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And now what's happening here in Oregon, because I held a bunch of things back that I was going to do from my earlier candidate forums and stuff, because I didn't want all the opposition to know everything we're going to do. Right. Well, now that I put all that stuff out, apparently they're studying my material, because now that's become some of their talking points, although they keep holding on to the progressive edge of the pool. So it's like they say all the good stuff, but then they do that. and that blows it apart. So I'm like, you guys just stay in your ruts. We love you politicians. You expose yourselves.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm having way too much
Great.
fun with this. And I, by the way, I really cannot wait to the debates and see who's going to be the ones winning through these primaries. Because again, I already have all the information. I know more about these people than they know about themselves. And I'm fully loaded for bear. Okay.
I think that you need a bunch of strong people around you so that they won't try to keep you out of the building.
Yeah.
Or
well, don't worry. I have that too.
Okay, good.
Always have a plan.
Yeah. I've seen some of these Congress people that are fighting and they're rolling into these buildings alone, and the officers are like, sorry, we've been told you can't come in. Like, what do you mean we can't come in? I'm the high representative for the state. This is my building.
Yeah.
So
believe me, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it won't happen. And you'll see to it that it doesn't happen, because we, the people, demand to have our voices heard. And so we will show up and we will escort our speakers to the floor, to the podium, wherever it's going to be. I mean, in the most polite, gentle way that we can.
Now, see, here's something else we're going to do. I'm going to eliminate the state police. And we're going to go and expand the sheriffs and deputy sheriffs, and then through the state.
Can you clarify on what you're going to do? You're going to take these trained professionals and put them into a new job title?
That's what they're going to have to. If they want to stay here in Oregon as law enforcement, yes, they're going to have to do that. And the thing is that by doing it with the sheriffs, constitutional sheriffs, right, they can enforce the law throughout the state. But I can actually rotate them to the capital. So in other words, wherever they're at in the county, they'll get time to work at the capital for a couple of weeks or 4 weeks or a month, and maybe augment their salary a little bit.
Exactly.
But the biggest thing is that they're there to enforce the law. Okay. That means even on the legislature, even on the governor, we have to, there's a reason for checks and balances to make sure people don't become tyrants. Right now here in Oregon, Ellen Rosenbaum, my goodness, it's an attorney general that should keep the governor in check, but she doesn't, because she has stated publicly, well, I work for the governor. No, you don't. You're elected by the people. You work for the people. And if the people want an election audit, then guess what? You're supposed to be supporting that. It's all within
exactly what she said. Ellen Rosenbaum, I work for the governor. Well, she just went to Scripps Liberal Women's College in California, where they teach you from an early age. They take these well-entitled people and put them into these schools and classrooms and tell them, now you're going to be the next world leaders.
Yeah.
And then they teach them just about communism. They don't teach them about the Constitution. They don't teach them about checks and balances. They teach, well, you're going to be part of the Progressive Party, and you're going to just go in there and you're just going to say that everybody else doesn't matter. And
well, see, I look forward. Another thing, once I become governor, a couple of key things are going to happen. Number one, Ellen Rosenbaum is going to resign her position.
Yeah.
And then I get to appoint an attorney general. The next thing is that the entire Oregon Supreme Court is going to be replaced. Every one of those people were appointed by either Kitzhaber or Brown, and they've done a huge disservice to the state of Oregon, the people of Oregon, and our Constitution. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be looking for new people across the board in that regard.
Right.
And the thing about an attorney general is they don't actually have to be somebody who's an actual attorney. But we have a number of people who are well-versed in common and natural law, and we're going to take Oregon back to a true republic. That'll be paramount.
That's so paramount. I mean, yes. I can't stress to you enough that the states need to govern themselves. And I mean, this is the most important thing, I feel like, is the state's independence. And if every state gets aggressive on taking back their independence and really ruling with natural civil law and constitutional law, the world, this whole country would just prosper, thrive. I mean, things would just take off in a 45-degree angle increase in every single way.
Right.
And a drop in crime by a 45-degree angle down.
Well, it's amazing what happens to people when they have direction and purpose and opportunity. Okay. When you can, and as a governor, we can supply that. We can find all kinds of ways to inspire and motivate business to come out about. And as you know, small business is the backbone of any state's economy. It really is. And here in Oregon, Kate Brown has been trying to kill it. It's like she's trying to poison the well to get as many people to leave Oregon as possible. But she's also
I got one other thing about Kate Brown. So freeing 1,000 inmates. What? 41 people, Labor Day 2020 wildfires. Please explain. What is this I'm reading? What is Kate Brown doing?
What she's done is illegal. Okay. But the Attorney General is not going to hold her to it. That's why the Attorney General is guilty of crimes herself.
There you go. That's why Ellen Rosenblum was one of my number one. That person right there seems like very
just part of the problem.
I didn't even know anything about her. I just was like,
well,
this person
guess what we're going to do? For those people guilty of crimes against humanity here in Oregon and treason, they're going to get to experience the new Central Oregon tent city.
Oh
yeah. I think that a certain amount of punishment should come with especially such crimes. And dereliction of duty.
Chateau to Gore-Tex.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
We're gonna give them a real education, let them appreciate what they've done. And then, like I said,
they'll be fleeing. They'll be going to the Cook Islands. They'll just get on a plane ride somewhere.
I have people that we're going to go track them down.
Good. Okay. Good.
They'll be leaving little fire footprints out of the state, but that'll make it easier to follow. Yeah.
So for 1,000 inmates, she's freeing 1,000. So what is the deal if the jails are packed full of people? Supposedly
they're not. Not.
There's
a lot. We have a lot of jails that are like empty. There's one they're like closing down because it's like empty. And I'm like, I know a whole lot of people that can fill those. And
what is closing down a jail? What are you talking about? This building costs millions and millions of dollars to make. Security, concrete, bars. I mean, this is not easy construction. This is, what are you talking about? No, this is ridiculous to close down a multi-million-dollar jail. Just upfit it with new stuff if it needs it. But
they've also been talking about taking some of these facilities and turning them into camps for people, FEMA camps and what have you. They're
FEMA. What is FEMA? I mean, FEMA, they showed up at Katrina. Okay. You have the stuff that we give.
I was in
FEMA,
Louisiana for that, by the way.
Okay. Well, half the stuff that we give them doesn't even get to the people that need to have it. I mean, Puerto Rico, look at all the,
there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse. And until you start holding people truly accountable publicly, see, that's where it has to be a public accounting, right? But once it's exposed, once everybody knows, they're like, oh my gosh, I trusted that guy. Yeah, you did. I hope you don't anymore. And now when he gets his punishment, you're going to go, yeah, sweet.
Wow.
Have real accountability. It needs to happen.
Wow. So I guess to close this out, is there anything that we did not cover that you wanted to cover with me?
Gosh. I mentioned about a whistleblower we have in the Department of Human Services, and he's exposed where there's a number of illegal immigrants that are in the system with false Social Security numbers. They know they're false. They have Verify, but they let them in anyway. They still pay them anyway. Matter of fact, a number of them, they're paying as if they were child care providers through the child care provider funds. And some of them aren't even watching children. Okay. And if they are watching children, a lot of times they are the illegal immigrant children. And all this money gets worked in. So where all the money that's supposed to be going to American citizens that are in these situations is not. It makes no logical sense. And he's reported this with evidence. I have the entire file. And the feds,
the way that the government looks at a bank account is they say we've got to figure out how to spend all of this so we can ask for the same or more later.
Well, so I think it comes down to illegal votes. I mean, the only legitimate, if you all of a sudden said, okay, no illegal will ever be able to vote in the United States of America, boy, the border would be shut down so fast, That's the reality. They think they can slide these votes by the motor voter laws and all that. Here in Oregon, about 5-6 years back, they had like a couple, 2-3 million
What is
people's
motor
information.
voter?
Well, it allows even an illegal immigrant to go in there and register in the Department of Vehicles to get a license, but they're not supposed to be able to vote. However, the system will still kick them out a ballot. Okay. So it's a way to, oh, don't worry. The illegal immigrants that get licenses, they won't get to vote. Well, that's a lie. They do set it up that way. And by the way, I have talked to a number of immigrants here in America, legal immigrants even, that are in the system, and they're not supposed to vote yet because they're not citizens yet. And yet they get ballots in the mail. Okay.
That's so ridiculous. Why would an illegal immigrant who may or may not know English be concerned with voting? They have no idea. They can't make any assertion as to who is the better
They're going to vote for the people they think are funding them. Who's giving them all the free money through the welfare system and the food stamps and
this
not
is
telling
communism. We're going to cut the communism out. Just cut it out, and the people that are really in need of funds will get them. This is not saying that the people that are dependent upon the government are just going to be out in the cold. It's stopping the exploitation of this system.
Yes, and that's why they come. That's why they come for that, right? So here's something else. My wife Oksana, she's an immigrant, a legal immigrant. She immigrated to America in about 15 years ago, and when she came here and she went through the whole process.
Isn't it like an 8-year process or something like that?
I think for her it was like 5 years. It was a long process.
Yeah.
And for her, what she says is this: she goes, people misunderstand what socialism and communism is. Communism is what they promise. Oh, we'll all have money. We'll all have what we want. We all have vacations and nice homes and everything. But socialism is the path to get there. So what happens in socialism is there are individuals that get to communism, but everybody else is stuck in socialism. And that's where you have nothing.
Wow.
That's the truth. That's Oksana has two videos on YouTube called Parallels, Parallels 1 and 2. And she kind of gives you stories and outlines exactly what she's talking about. But so her perception, understanding of what she sees in America and how we've been slowly being transitioned into this, boy, it's freaked her out. She's quite upset about this. And for me, gosh, she is such a tremendous force for me and for Oregon.
Wow.
So when she becomes Oregon's next first lady, she's going to be out there talking to the people as much as I will be.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you've got the wife who's seen the other side. You've been, across the seas and seen other things and lived and experienced. Now you're back here. Now you have all the experience. You have the know-how. You have the state, which is going to you're going to win. And I mean, it's incredible that the need for what you're going to bring to the table has never been a more of a need than now.
Yes.
And so, I mean, this is God. I feel like this is like a God move. Like God is going to help you, be behind you.
The first time I'm at a Patriots meeting in Central Oregon, and they were talking about how we have a Rhino candidate already. He's been there forever. And we need someone who will step up and who's not a career politician. And my response to that was like, yeah, we need that, and then one of my mentors pulled me aside and said, PJ, you should do this. I'm like, but I'm not a politician. He said, that's exactly why you should do this. He says, you know the issues, you understand this stuff, and you'd be a good representative because you know the people. You've been through the fiery hoops of life. You've worked your whole life. You put yourself through it, your education. You have the right things you really need to do it. The problem is, and what I experience is that there's so many good qualified people to run for office, but they don't. There's no instruction book how to run for office for dummies. So guess what? I think it's something we're just going to have to write it.
There you go. And I would buy the first copy. I mean, I would love to run, but I don't know really where to start. So, I mean, it's going to be a process. I'm not ready to run yet, but it could be a process later on.
Yes, absolutely. I'm telling you now, because here's the thing. My first time I ran, I spent like a little over $3,000. And I ended up with 20% of the vote against a sitting incumbent U.S. House Representative guy.
Million dollar budget.
Are you kidding? Somebody said, well, you lost. I was like, are you serious? You think I lost 20% with $3,000? Wow. Imagine if I would have had another $9,000, right? Imagine what I would have done with that, And so what we've been showing people is that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You have to be a good candidate. You have to have real ways of addressing the issues. You have to have a plan, a strategy. And if you don't, well, then you're just a politician.
Bingo.
Your strategy is for yourself. It's not for your people.
Epic. This is epic. Okay, we're going to close it out. And
by the way, the last thing I guess I'd say is this: is that anybody who is a good, decent human being and really just wants to help fix things for everybody and can stand on the Constitution, that is your qualification. Okay, and you can learn it all. When you go to Congress, first time ever, there's courses you go through there. AOC skipped most of the classes, but you can be responsible and attend them and learn how to be a congressman. But you always got to maintain two things. You have to maintain your integrity. You have to prevent yourself from being leveraged or compromised. That is your predominant responsibility to the people that elect you, before they elect you and after they elect you. You can't allow yourself.
Good doing the right thing.
Oh yeah, let me tell you something. I sleep like a baby. Okay, yeah. I don't worry about any of this stuff because I know what I'm doing is right. I know that I'm not doing it because somebody's driving me to. Right. Except for voters, I'm only beholden to them. And the more things go along, we find out who is beholden to who. And most of these politicians are not beholden to the voter. And that's
most. Yeah. Most. I mean, what is most? 95? I mean, I don't know.
I would say so, because here's the thing. Everybody seems to think that to be run for office, you got to be a politician. I got to be in this rut. And that's what they do.
Yeah, that's that weird thing that comes around on the news every 4 years where, well, he's not experienced and he doesn't know the language that we use.
Yeah, it's
go
like,
away. Like, ugh,
who are you?
Like, who is that? That's not
My
America.
Tell you what, let's step into the ring. Let's put on the boxing gloves for 2 minutes and we'll have a discussion.
That would be funny. That would be you and Pelosi. I mean, I would just.
That would just be a boo.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, I just can't. I can't say how excited I am that this interview happened and it's going to be put on my platform. And
when it comes to Kate Brown, we were talking about all kinds of things. Like it's like what happened to Kate Brown? I let her go. It's time to let him go.
It's time to cut out the dead weight, and it's just a numbers thing. This is nothing about this is truly not anything about our beliefs are better. This is about standing up for law and the numbers. I mean, just surely off the theft, the numbers that are being exploited, the laws that are being broken, put all the religious stuff aside, put all of the personal beliefs aside, and just just look at that. And that alone is enough for somebody to vote for you. I mean, well, it's like the abortion issue, right? Because the Constitution Party here in Oregon, they are all, man, it's the Constitution and life. That's their platform, really. Okay. Well, I came to them and said, listen, guys, as a Christian, you can't beat somebody over the head with the Bible. It doesn't work. It's never worked. Even Jesus himself didn't like religion. Okay. So why are you doing that? I said, it's really simple. Yeah. You put the two questions to the people, and is number one is, do you want abortion or not at the state level? And the state says, let's say 51% says yes. Fine. Okay. We have abortion. It's legal. Number two, do you as a voter want to pay for it? And guess what? That poll's already been done. Over 81% of Americans do not want to pay for it. Therefore, why should any of us pay for somebody else's indiscretion? You take the money out of it, you basically just ate 95% of the elephant. Boom.
Okay. And then on top of that, you enforce the actual federal laws that exist regarding partial birth abortions and harvesting of body parts.
Yeah. There you go.
If we enforce the law and I put
Yeah.
all those people in jail and fine them for every time, I got news for you. Planned Parenthood will leave fire footprints out of my state.
Yes.
You know,
That is what
so,
I'm talking about. That
so
is how yes.
you gotta be smart. You can't. They keep going the same way. They accomplish nothing. And so with my way, I'm going to eat 99.9% of that elephant.
Good.
So
good to hear that. That's incredible. Just your breakdown of how that would happen. I mean, that is incredible. Most people aren't even saying that.
No,
most people
no,
cannot even put that in a sentence like you just did. So I just applaud you at the way that you're able to break that down for someone who may not know. And you have got to be on a Megatron screen saying this stuff. And people, 50,000 people got to be watching you. I mean,
we have the Reawaken America tour coming here in April, April 1st and 2nd. And I'm speaking at that event. It's, Oregon's a small place, really. We have maybe up to about a little over 4 million people in Oregon, right?
Okay.
Maybe about 2.5 million voters. So it's not a big state, really, population wise. But I'll tell you what, once we make this changes, a few more people are going to be moving back to Oregon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we got a plan for the Homestead Act and letting Oregonians own some land. And the best part is they won't have to pay property taxes on it. Chance to.
There you go. Now we're really getting down to the brass tacks of what is a sustainable state, and a sustainable society produces.
And I'm just following the law, the requirements that the original legislature skipped. So we study so much stuff in our law, in the past, the present, and basically try to get a good understanding of what needs to be done to correct it. And that's what we're offering. And so much of the stuff, people don't take the time to research this.
I want to move. I mean, if you win, I'm probably going to buy a postage stamp piece of land. To, have a PO box.
Bring you on down. But yeah, I'm excited about, because Oregon's. I grew up.
Wait a minute. Let me correct myself. It's not if, it's when.
When. There you go. I was born in New Iberia, Louisiana, so I'm actually a Cajun. Okay. And my family down there just is awesome. And coming to Oregon when in the 5th grade, I think it was. So now I don't sound Cajun anymore. I'm just kind of like the all-American white guy, but it's always fun to get back down there. A little crawfish, a little bit of beer.
That's right.
The accent comes back a little bit. But, here in Oregon, I grew up in Central Oregon. So, I've bucked bales and changed pipe and drove tractors, cut wood in the Ochocos, hunted camp fish all over the state. I love this state. Wow. And I am sickened by what has been done to it. Yeah. And I'm here to fight.
When you win, there is going to be a mass, maybe not Exodus is when what is it when they
mass influx
of people that are going to come from California. I mean, they're going to be coming from Texas. They're going to be coming because people are tired of Texas heat. They're going to bring their money, their influence, and they're going to come into Oregon and make that state. I mean, they can have your GDP is going to go up. You're going to have all these things that are going to happen in that state because of the leadership.
We are going to become the template for pretty much every state that's been in Democrat failure. Okay. And the thing is, even the Republican states that may not have the full template, they'll be able to add that to theirs and do better themselves. And I can't tell you, there's already a number of other gubernatorial candidates that have spoke with me to get my insight in our ideas. So
I got one more analogy, and that is, so the Messiah came, and I'm not saying you're the Messiah. I'm just saying this. The example was they didn't like Jesus because he came out of, where did he come out of? Bethlehem. Yeah. They said, what good could come out of Bethlehem? So that's part of the strategy of God, is he would use
all people,
Multnomah County, and he would use Portland, and he would use this area that's just been a tragic area for most of the country to watch on TV, and bring out of the muck and the mire, bring out a new birth of what this country is really about, which is about the people and about freedom and about liberty. And
You know, I can't say that I was always a patriot. You know, when I joined the Navy, I joined it for the GI Bill because I was put myself through college. I was starving.
Makes
I needed
sense.
to tie a knot at the end of my rope, so I joined the Navy. And my first second year in the Navy, I was on the Nimitz, and I had a good friend of mine that I met there.
USS Nimitz.
USS Nimitz, nuclear carrier number 68. And
so you only glow green about half the time.
Yeah, something like anyway, a friend of mine, Craig Rudolph, and he flew on VQ2, the spook plane we had that goes up. And well, the night before one of his flights, he got off his flight and we were talking, and he was sharing with me how scared to death he was to go up on that plane every day. And I'm like, what? Dude, you fly in that plane every day. He's an Arabic linguist. He's really good at what he did. And he's just a good guy. Just a nice, everybody likes Craig, you know? And I'm just like, well, dude, you're air crew. You could turn in your wings at any time, man. It's no questions asked. You can work on the ground. You know, that's not a problem. He goes, no. Says, you know, the Navy really believed in me, and they trained me, and they got me through my language schools and got me through the SAR school, got me through all this stuff. And, you know, it's what I got to do for my country. It's what I got to do. And I'm just thinking, to go into a plane that scares you practically to death every time and fly, that's the first real experience I've had witnessing true courage.
Wow.
Okay. And in that moment, I realized how petty, how ridiculous I was. I'm just there for the GI Bill to go back to college. And the next day he went up, and when he got back, his counterpart for the night flight had an ear infection, so he couldn't fly. And so Craig had to go up on that flight. Well, that flight was Ranger 12, and Ranger 12 ended up crashing off the deck of the Nimitz, and all hands were lost. And I watched all this happen from Vulture's Row. And it was just stunned. It's like what you saw wasn't what you saw. And it was in that moment.
It couldn't happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't have happened. It was just so surreal. And it took me a long time to even be able to talk about this. And in that moment, because of Craig, I became the patriot that I am.
Yeah.
There are things worth fighting for, and there's things worth dying for. And right now, recovering this country, recovering this state, it's worth it. So that's why I put the energy and effort that I do into it.
Brilliant. Well, I couldn't pick a better ending for this epic interview. And
it's just the truth.
I mean, just please for the credits, plug some of what you got going on so that people that are watching this can find you. And we're going to put all this in the description.
Thank you.
Well.
The website is Romero for Oregon, ROMEROFOREGON.com. And on there, two things you want to look at. Number one is the contract with Oregon. And I don't care what state you're in, because you can take that contract of Oregon and you just walk that over to your candidate and say, we want this, you know? And then we're on Telegram. We have the Lion's Den and Paul Romero for governor of Oregon. Okay. And I think, and the other thing on the website is Law for Ammo. It basically gives the Oregon version of a federal state letter and a duress letter, which is really important. But we actually have some upgrades to that. So a big part of it has just been educating people so that they can be confident when they go to their boss, say, here's my duress letter for you violating my civil rights and discriminating against me.
So important.
Yes.
Peggy Hall has been doing a lot of that for the Californians.
Yes. It's just, there's so many great people that are rising through the muck, right? And for those people, you know, salute. It has to be done, but there needs to be more of us.
Yeah.
And I know there is. And there's a lot of people that hold back. They think that they can't do it, but I'm here to tell you they can. And the other thing I will tell people is this: never give up, never surrender. That's the other guy's problem. And the other guy is the worst evil opposition we've ever had in this country.
Never give up, never surrender. And just and just trust and know that God is on our side, the
Amen.
creator, you know. And so this is fantastic news, that, you know, that you're doing this and committing and stepping up to the challenge. And it really, it's like, another analogy would be Moses's conversation with God. And he said, I'm not very well spoken, and you want me to go to the most powerful land and tell the Pharaoh to let my people go. And God said, I'm just going to give you, just say what I tell you to say. And it took the pressure off of us to, you know, the story is that God can use anyone he chooses to use, and he can do the thing. And it's just such a good thing, that's happening. And I will be visiting Oregon, and I will be shaking your hand in Oregon as the governor. And
I look forward to that, Daniel, and I'll make sure you get one of our next poker chips. We already issued out 100, the red and white ones. We got the next ones are purple and white. Okay. So we're gonna basically the goal for this is kind of a way for people to know that they get to go see the governor and come visit us at the governor's mansion.
Wonderful.
We'll have a party, have a ball, have something. We have a ballroom there, and I think it's time to open up the governor's mansion to the people, as it should be.
Wow, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you,
All right, Daniel,
for tuning in.
Thank you so much.